Hi everyone, welcome to the monthly shadow work reading for the full moon. We have the full moon in Taurus this month, going through Scorpio season, of course. The full moon, though, doesn't just light up the sky, it lights up you yourself. Shadow work is about meeting your hidden self, the parts that you deny, you fear, you ignore, so that you can release old patterns and step into your truth. Embracing those demons and making them work for you rather than against you. All right. And this moon's energy actually makes that transformation even more powerful. The moon in Taurus, it's a bit of a reminder this month that you belong, that, themes of your own life and your inner power coming into play, coming home to yourself and being more comfortable with oneself, that you are enough, that you can slow down and just enjoy your life and your inner power, that your wholeness. It's a reminder that, you are developing a relationship with your sense of worth and worthiness in this world. It's a very creative moon too, but it also shows us where we're being too rigid or stubborn, and really allows us that time to slow down and just embrace ourselves in a softer kind of way. But as anyone that does watch the channel, we do the full moon readings for shadow work every single month on the full moon there. The full moon, obviously a very transformative energy to be using for shadow work. We love to look inside ourselves and embrace all of that, good and bad. Okay. I will have all the timestamps in the description box if you're looking for those. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with all of those. Any comments on any of my November videos, you will go in the draw for a free personal reading as well. So make sure you're leaving comments and are subscribed so you can stay up to date with that competition as well. Today I've got the Dead Inside deck. All right, so we're using that deck today. It is a little bit of a confronting, dark humor kind of a deck. So, that's part of the fun of shadow work, is some things do trigger us and confront us with some darker stuff. And that's exactly why we do that work, so that we can, heal and grow and learn about ourselves a little bit more there. But, I'm also using the Red Hand Lenormand deck. I do like to use this particular one for our shadow work messages as well. All right, so getting sort of into it for you today, we will be starting with Taurus as we are in, that Taurus full moon. All right, so like I said, timestamps in the description boxes. All right, so starting us off today. All right. Taurus. Shadow work messages for Taurus, please. Toxic but familiar, Taurus. Patterns, attachments, comfort in the pain. All right, so this is definitely talking about, getting too comfortable in the pain, the hurt, the bad, the bad feelings, feeling like you're not enough. You've gotten quite comfortable in that energy. That's your safety zone. That's your comfort zone. So it's kind of time to pull yourself out of that pattern and start to realize that, it's okay to find peace and happiness and love and all those positive things. You've just become so adjusted to the toxic. It's become familiar. It's become what and you hear that phrase, better the devil you know. And that's kind of what you're doing at the moment. You're sitting in that energy of, okay, at least I know this pattern, this devil, but it's time to pull yourself out of that a little bit, Taurus. Let's have a look here with the Lenormand as well. Taurus, shadow work messages for Taurus. What does Taurus need to address for their shadow work this month, please? It is time to emerge from your little chrysalis of comfort. We have the moth coming through first, Taurus. So that's all about transformation. That's about, allowing yourself to emerge fully transformed and embrace the freedom of being able to accept the more positive energies as well as, you know, those negative energies here. It coming straight through with the child. All right, so it moving you straight towards, you know, more happy, adventurous energy, that playful spirit, that real playful kind of everything is an adventure, everything is exciting and new, and you know, all part of the adventure to learn and grow and heal as we move forward here. Really just enjoying life, and not necessarily enjoying that, once again, that comfort of, oh, I'm used to everything going wrong, so therefore it will. You're kind of allowing in this new energy that's a little bit more innocent and naive. That it's not in a bad way though. It's like, well, you know what, maybe good things can happen, and embracing that hope that, you know, when I grow up, I can be whatever I want to be. And you're really starting to embrace that in a very childlike, kind of playful, fun, living in the moment kind of a way here. We do see the Tower coming through as well, Taurus. So it's kind of talking about here, you know, finding this childlike spirit within yourself for yourself, rather than having any impact necessarily on your actual life and the way that you're interacting with others. This is all about the foundation of who you are, what you are comfortable in. You know, that's, you see you sitting there in that little comfort zone, and this Tower is, you know, like that comfort zone, and that's what you're sort of changing up: the foundation, the core, the structure of who you are. You're no longer sitting in that toxic but familiar energy. You're now getting more comfortable in the unfamiliar, the healthy energy for yourself, the fun, enjoying life kind of energy here. Some of you may just feel the need to really sort of go within yourselves just a little bit throughout the month, spending a bit of time in, you know, isolation of some description. Could just be you know, an hour to yourself to really think through these sorts of things and how you can embrace life in a little bit of a transformed way, bring in newer, happier, more fun versions of yourself, that sort of stuff. But we do see this particular Tower is that lighthouse. So you are kind of already being naturally guided, you know, to that part of yourself anyway. It's that inner child wanting to come out and play at the moment with your energy, Taurus, and pull yourself out of those patterns that you've become comfortable in, and really move yourself towards happiness and having fun with life, and just, you know, enjoying life, the good and the bad, just embracing the adventure, that it's all part of the journey. All right, Taurus, but that's what we're seeing for you this month. Some things to think about there. You're more than welcome to check your other placements, especially your moon placement with the full moon reading. Subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment so you go in the draw for that free personal reading, and we will move over to our Geminis. Okay. Gemini, messages for Gemini for their shadow work this month. What does Gemini need to look at for their shadow work this month? Gemini. Ooh, the I'm fine. Everything is fine. Look at me. I'm totally fine energy. Putting on that mask. You can even see the mask being held up there, Gemini. Suppression, numbness, and facade are the keywords there on that card. So suppressing a lot of truth. You know, part of yourself is being suppressed here. And that's really what this full moon is all about, is becoming more comfortable with the truth of oneself. Okay, Gemini. So really needing to address those issues where you are sort of hiding behind that mask of it's fine, I'm fine, it's okay, I'm fine. I do feel like the most recent weekly reading did have a similar kind of energy for you in that, Gemini. So you may want to go back and check that one out as well. But, you know, it's really all just about, you know, lowering the defenses a little bit so that we can sit in our own truth, rather than feeling as though we have to hide behind this, you know, pretending that everything is okay, even when it's not. All right. But we'll have a look here with the lenormand for you, Gemini. Gemini, shadow work messages for our Geminis. Okay, some strong energy for you here, Gemini. We do have the flowers coming through first. I do just want to show you this second card. We have the astral coming through in the second position there, which straight away that astral is your more spiritual self, the versions of yourself that are not seen in a in a physical way. All right, so the part of ourselves that is in the astral realm, our dreams, our the metaphysical parts of ourselves, the one that's connected to soul and spirit, rather than the mundane day to day. This is what I'm like and this is what I do, and that mask that you're putting on, that's a separate entity altogether. This is more about your truth, your soul, your spirit coming through here. And we do see that flowers there, the bouquet. So the flowers is all about giving, so giving more to that other side of yourself, that astral version of yourself, the spiritual version of yourself, the parts of yourself that don't see the light of day, and really, giving more to that, and to your dreams, and rather than giving so much to the material and the reality of life, and this is what I have to do, these are my responsibilities. You're giving too much to reality here. So it's really asking you to give your time, your love, your effort to the version of yourself that exists beyond space and time, that exists deep within your own heart. We have the heart coming through there as well. So it's really that heart space, and the spiritual connection that you feel, and your connection to energy and to other people through that energy, rather than the real world connections of things and the material connections of things. So really asking you to take a little bit more time this month to really, find that truth within yourself, and sit comfortably with that. Open your heart to be more of that, and be a little bit more loving and vulnerable with that side of yourself, and allow it to be expressed as well. To stop suppressing your heart and your feelings and your emotions, and your truth, and that part of you that trusts your intuition, and trusts that the universe has got a plan for you here. Okay, Gemini, so that's what we're sort of seeing for you. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment so you go in the draw for that free personal reading as well. And we will move on over to our Cancers. Okay. All right, Cancer, what's going on for our Cancer? What does Cancer need to look at for their shadow work this month? What's the main issue Cancer needs to address with their shadow work this month, please? Your social battery. Drained, antisocial, and shut down. Okay, Cancer, so I'm picking up very strongly, straight away as a bit of, advice for you with this energy that you're seeing for your shadow work. It's kind of, to be honest, giving that fake it till you make it kind of energy, Cancer, where, yes, you may be feeling very drained, and yes, social situations may be draining you. Some of you may, suffer from social anxieties and things like that as well. But it's coming across that it's crossing that level into antisocialness. All right, so it's you're shutting down that side of yourself that has the ability to try to adjust to other people, and mix with other people, because having a social battery doesn't mean that you have to go to a party and go and blend in with a bunch of people. This is starting to affect you to the point of one-on-one interactions as well. Okay, so you're really needing to sort of ask yourself, is this something that I can practice? Being a little bit more sociable, and allowing a little bit more time and space within myself to social pursuits, even if that is just, those one-on-one friendships and things like that. Addressing those issues within yourself this month. Okay, Cancer, but it really is just, it keeps telling me that fake it till you make it, that practice makes perfect kind of thing. because, you know, I'm not asking you to go and fake it. I'm just sort of saying, you know, practice makes perfect, that small steps at a time towards a goal, you will eventually get there. All right. So having a look with the Lenormand for you, Cancer. Cancer, shadow work messages for our Cancers, please. Cancer, what does Cancer need to know this month in regard to shadow work? Pardon me. That is kind of naturally changing anyway for you, Cancer. So you are sort of just needing to, you know, allow yourself a little bit of space here. Like we sort of said with this particular full moon anyway, you know, this is a sort of safe space to, I'm just lost my notes already. Typical. That that you are already enough, that you are whole just the way that you are, that your relationship with worthiness and self-worth is coming out this month, and showing you where you are being a little bit too rigid or stubborn. So it's kind of being a little bit more present within your own life, and sort of coming home into your own body and life this month, and that's sort of coming through with this social battery energy, okay, with this transformation here in the coffin. All right, so that is kind of naturally coming to a little bit of an end here anyway, or you are going through a little bit of a transformation where you are, you know, able to start really thinking about this issue, and how can you amp up that battery when necessary, and not allow it to cross that line into antisocial shutdown. All right, complete shutdown away from people altogether. You know, you're wanting to put that to an end. You're wanting to end this feeling of drainedness whenever you are in a social situation, and the way that you do that is by becoming a little bit more comfortable in your own skin, which that transformation is already starting to occur. All right, so we are seeing that with the death and the rebirth of the coffin, that you are sort of being reborn into this energy, with the clover and the anchor here, of this rebirth into this energy of someone who's a little bit more comfortable taking a chance on themselves, and knowing that you can rely on these situations as like that. Once again, that practice makes perfect, that you're investing a little bit more, you're risking a little bit more of your own, you know, uncomfortable energy, by putting yourself forwards a little bit more, and knowing that you can, you know, at the end of the day, that you can be safe and secure within your own self, and in that risk itself, that there is a safety and a security and a reliability within you yourself and within the risk itself, that the more that you take that risk, the more comfortable it becomes, the more of a safe zone that it does become for you, the more comfortable you do become. So once again, it's that practice makes perfect, definitely coming through for you there. So you're already engaging in this transformation. It's just a matter of, you know, I do feel that with the clover there may just be the need to consciously take a little bit more of a risk, to put yourself out there a little bit more this month, as a sort of homework, I suppose, for your shadow work this month, Cancer. All right, so that's what we're seeing for you. You are more than welcome to check out your other placements, of course. Make sure you subscribe as well as leave a comment so you go in the draw for that free personal reading. And we will move on over to our Leos. Okay, Leo, what's going on for our Leos? What's most important for Leo to pay attention to with their shadow work this month? Shadow work message for Leo, please. It's too much. We see the blah and the beep. This is like overwhelmed energy, Leo. Overstimulation, panic, mental overload. So, you know, your nerves are getting a little bit frayed. Overstimulation. All right. So you're needing to actually, it kind of feels like addressing that issue, that shadow work issue in two senses for you here, Leo, that for some of you here, I am getting that you're just too overstimulated with too many other shadow work factors that you are currently working on already. So for those of you where that resonates, that you're already overstimulated by doing so much, work on yourself, maybe take a little bit of a break. This month might be the calm it down a little bit. Don't overstimulate yourself too much with, pushing yourself too hard, too fast. All right. But for others of you, this is more to do with the actual, the energy, the nervous energy of, feeling overwhelmed, overstimulated, that mental overload, that you're kind of stressing yourself out a little bit too much. And you're starting to really notice it's like you're noticing the effect of that happening, but you're not noticing the why and the what things are actually, adding up here to overstimulate you. You're just noticing when it gets all too much and it's, oh, I can't handle this. So I feel like for those of you that's resonating for, that this is really a month for you to be sort of trying to not look at it's kind of like you're looking at the symptoms rather than the underlying cause of the issue. So you're seeing the anxiety and the panic and the nervousness, but you're not looking at the underlying reasons for that. All right. And I do straight away feel here for you, Leo, that you're pushing yourself just a little bit too hard on a few things here. So this, once again, it comes back to that self-worth, your relationship with self-worth, and coming back to yourself and realizing that, do you know what? I don't need to take on all these extra things, especially when it's things that I'm telling myself. That little voice in the back of my head is telling me, you're not worth this, you're not worth that. I don't need to actually take that on board, because that's just stressing me out. That's just causing me anxiety. That maybe I need to just reframe the way that I'm talking to myself and reframe, the way that I'm perceiving things that are stressing me out. It's actually linking up very strongly here, Leo, to a close Leo friend of mine. She was going for a test yesterday, and I actually spoke to her about it, and I said, don't even think about it as a test. You're just displaying the skills that you already have. You're not being tested, you're just displaying the skills that you already have. And she was still very, very nervous and overstimulated by everything going on with the test itself, but she passed. Okay, and I just felt as though that actually helped her, and she did say herself that reframing that actually helped her, negotiate the stress within her own self in a different kind of a way, because she wasn't perceiving it as this big thing hanging over her head. It was more, oh, I get to show what I can do and show that I am comfortable, displaying these skills, even if I'm nervous, even if I'm, overstimulated, that I can still do it because I have the skill. So that was just popping up very muchly as a bit of an example for you, because I feel like the similar sort of thing is going on for the collective here, and you're sort of not looking at it from other perspectives, and not needing to just reframe it a little bit within your own self to really understand that. But we'll have a look with the lenormand here and see what that wants to add in for you, Leo. Leo, shadow work messages for our Leos. You are one of the signs, Leo, that are going to probably be most affected by this full moon also. So I'm not kind of surprised that it might be a big one for you, but it's all about, seeing how far you've already come, because, this is what I'm seeing for you, is that we have the tree coming through first. You've already been doing your work. You've already been healing and growing, and especially the first group of Leos there, where I said you already, overstimulated because you've been doing too much shadow work all at once. You've already been doing your work. You're already healing yourself. You're already maturing and becoming more wise. looking after yourself in different ways. So you're already doing the right thing. You're already doing the right things by yourself. It's just those little, just that little, once again, reframe, shifting your perspective, just that little touch, tuning in just a little bit differently, and understanding too that you have already done a lot of work and you have come a long way already. We do see the ship coming through for you there as well, which is, you're already embarked on this journey. You're already traveling into the version of yourself that you wish to be. It's part of the journey of shadow work, is to sort of get to these points where you do feel very overstimulated, and that's just life. Unfortunately, we all sort of have those times when life kind of does get a little bit too much to bear, and we do get overstimulated and overloaded with things going on in our lives. And it's part of the journey. You already are traveling in the right direction here, Leo. We also see the bouquet. So it's kind of also secondary, traveling towards this flowers energy, this bouquet energy, traveling towards this energy where you are able to then give a little bit more of yourself, give a little bit more of your time, your love, your energy to that shadow work stuff once again, so that it's okay to take those pauses, like you can kind of imagine if shadow work is a ship on a journey, it doesn't go forever. Okay, it stops at ports to, gather supplies and offload things and load things on. So it's okay to stop at your port and take a break when you need to, go on shore and walk around and chill out for a little day or two, and before you do sort of jump back on that ship and start that journey again, where you are giving the time, the love, the energy to this sort of work that you're undertaking here. I do feel a lot of you, Leo, are undertaking quite a lot of shadow work under multiple things already. That's something that you do seem to be invested in. That's part of your current journey, part of your awakening, really. I feel for a lot of you, your maturity, maturing and wise, growing wiser within oneself. It's just coming through pretty strong for you today, Leo. But you are more than welcome to check out your other placements. Make sure you do subscribe, as well as leave a comment so you go in the draw for that free personal reading. And we will move on over to our Virgos. All right. Virgo, what does Virgo need to look at for their shadow work message this month? Shadow work focus for our Virgos. Okay, Virgo. Invited but not wanted coming through here for you. The keywords here are exclusion, misfit, and emotional distance. All right, so this is kind of definitely linking up with that full moon energy, looking at the sense of worthiness within oneself. So really feeling as though you've kind of been set aside from others, and really needing to look at those things where is that the truth, or is that how you feel? All right, and why do you feel that way? Is there actually any reason for you feeling that exclusion, or is this something where you're actually doing that thing, Virgo, where you actually are pushing others away, and then wondering why no one's sitting at the table with you? All right, so what is making you feel excluded, and what is that within you yourself that is actually causing that to be something that is happening within you here, that you're just feeling separate from everybody else. So this full moon really is bringing you back into your own self, and finding comfort within your own self, so that you're not feeling like you're excluded as much, because I'm just picking up here, Virgo, that I feel for a lot of you that it's not others that are actually making you feel excluded. It's actually yourself. All right, that invited but not wanted. You're not feeling wanted, but you've been invited. So if you were invited, you were wanted. Does that kind of make sense? But we'll have a look with the Lenormand and see what that wants to add in for you here, Virgo. Okay, Virgo. Shadow work messages for our Virgos, please. Okay, so straight away here, the central card we're seeing for you is the Coffin, which is a death and a rebirth. So there is a transformation occurring for you, or about to occur for you. It's coming from this Ruins card. Okay, so starting off with the Ruins there as the death on one side of this coffin. So, we're putting an end to feeling like everything is in tatters. We're putting an end to, the things that have left us feeling isolated and alone in a world where no one kind of gets us. We're transforming that, and we're really looking at this exclusion, invited but not wanted energy within our own selves in order to put that to rest and close the lid on those sorts of feelings and, put a new narrative in our own heads here, Virgo, a rebirth of energy within your own self, of the way that you're perceiving those sorts of things, especially, inclusion and exclusion. On the other side of that, on the rebirth side of the coffin, we see the key. All right, which is where brand new opportunities opening up to you that lead you straight to success. This is, that all of a sudden you're opening a door in the ruins of yourself that you realize that there's a party on the other side, and there's been humanity still there all along. Because I do quite often, this is that post-apocalyptic, kind of energy where you're walking through the ruins of a city that once was. And so you're kind of on the back end of that, where you're now kind of realizing all I had to do was go and open that door, and there is the whole city hiding behind that door, and I've just stopped up until now I've been stopping myself from walking through that door. Whereas we're seeing you transforming that energy within yourself through this shadow work. You're, no longer feeling like you're excluded, no longer feeling like you're different to all the rest in the sense of social interaction. Going along to things and being involved in things, and you're opening yourself up to being wanted. And, because there's a part of you that has been closed off to even feeling as though you are wanted, because you yourself have been closed off to that. All right. So you're opening yourself back up to the potential of actually being wanted and valued, that you are worthy. You do belong. Okay, Virgo. So this full moon energy is quite strong for you, but that's what we're seeing there. You're more than welcome to check your other placements, of course. Make sure you subscribe as well as leave a comment so you can go in the draw for that free personal reading. And we will move on over to our Libras. Okay. All right, Libra. Shadow work messages for our Libra. What does Libra need to focus on for shadow work this month, please? Crying over situationships. Libra, emotional investment and rejection. Okay, so this is a big one, right? Because it is rejection. Rejection is a big thing. It's not a little thing within our own, emotional portion. But it's kind of like feeling rejected before things have really even begun. And the hardest thing to be looking at within this, Libra, is it's about your emotional investment in situations. And it's not just, I know it is the card that says crying over situationships. But I feel like this goes a little bit beyond that. It's crying over things that have never existed as of yet. You're seeing potential of things, and then when those things don't reach their potential, whether it be a friendship, a relationship, job and career stuff, when that doesn't reach that potential that you have seen, that's when you're getting crying over it, I suppose, is you feel that feeling of rejection from something that didn't even exist yet. So that's how it's kind of coming through in that sense there, Libra, that a lot of these things haven't even existed yet or begun yet, and you're actually upset about a potential that you perceived from that. So it's like, you're talking to someone online, for example, and starting to get to know somebody, and then, you know, they ghost you and you don't hear from them, and that obviously upsets you. But you're not realizing that, you know, they've got their own life. Maybe they didn't intentionally ghost you. You don't know what sort of happened on their end. But you were starting to get emotionally invested. And so there's this thing where you're automatically taking that as a rejection, although that wasn't actually a rejection, that you were sort of too invested in potential. That seems to be the main thing that wants to come through here. Is it's got to do with you being invested in potential futures rather than the reality. So this is kind of asking you to come back to reality a little bit, this full moon, Libra, and really sort of look at things as they are rather than what they could be, and not investing yourself into those things until they actually show potential of being those potential things realized, rather than, you know, you're getting too many steps ahead of yourself. You're definitely getting too many steps ahead of yourself with things. But I'll just clarify that with the Lenormand and see what that wants to add in here. Libra, shadow work messages for Libra, please. So firstly, we have the masculine coming through. And I feel like this is the underlying issues to do with this situation for you here, is because you are trying to be practical. All right, with that masculine energy, the masculine energy is very practical, logical energy, rational energy. You're trying to be, you know, rational and logical about the potential and whether it exists or not. But you're also, you know, trying to control the narrative a little bit. So you're being very domineering on what the narrative should be, and what the potential, you know, that has to be the outcome. And you're not allowing space for the just enjoying the ride up to that potential, or seeing, you know, how that comes about, or, you know, it's kind of like you get this idea in your head of what things need to be, and then when it doesn't get to that, it's wrong, because you're trying to control the narrative, I suppose, is the easiest way to explain that. But what's kind of happening here is you're rebelling against your own wishes. We have the goat followed by the star. Okay, so the goat is very rebellious energy, and then we see the star there is your dreams, your wishes, your goals, those potentials being achieved. All right. So you're actually, you know, I hate to be confronting here, Libra, but you are actually kind of butting heads with your own dreams by trying to control that narrative, because sometimes this has been coming up a lot lately, is sometimes those potentials that you perceive as that has to be the right outcome, sometimes what you wish for isn't, it comes in a way that doesn't look like what you thought it would. All right, so you're kind of rebelling against anything that doesn't fit this narrative that you've created within your own head space. All right, and then you're actually pushing your dreams further away because you're not giving them space to just be, and to grow into the thing that you're wishing for here, the goal that you're wanting to achieve here. You're not giving space for that to grow into that. You know, that things kind, you know, stars kind of just, your dreams and your goals and your wishes, a lot of the time it takes multiple steps to get to that achievement, rather than bang, here it is, everything you always wanted on your lap. No, there is work that's needed in the in between, and you're rebelling against doing the work, and you're rebelling against, all these first few steps don't look like exactly like what I want, so I'm just going to push that away. So there is a part here of the rejection that you're feeling is partly because you're rejecting an openness to perceive your dreams in any way other than the view that you have of what they should look like. All right, so it's kind of needing to rebel a little bit here against your controlling logical nature, and just trust that things will get to that dream state, that goal state, and you know, but you do need to just trust that a little bit more here, instead of getting overly emotionally invested in something that has not yet been created. You've actually got to create it. So very, very stubborn energy here, that I'm seeing on your end. So, it is going to take a little bit of work. I'm not going to lie. But just really sort of, instead of focusing on the end goal, the resulting wish that you're desiring here, try to move back a few steps and focus on, all the different ways that might start to come into fruition, not just what it looks like when you get it. All right. So thinking back, step by step, that and also being, a broader scope, that this wish could come true, but maybe it doesn't look exactly like what I think it does. What do I do then? Do I just, see what comes from this, and see if it does develop into that wish, that goal, or do I continue to stay very rigid and stubborn with that goat energy, very masculine? I have to be in control of how that looks, very obsessive over every little detail has to look exactly like this, before I accept that as my wish coming true. Because, with the stars there, the wishes are trying to come in for you here. You're just being very stubborn and rigid. And that's really what this full moon is all about too, is helping you see where you're being stubborn and rigid, and to help yourself, smooth down the edges a little bit, and go with the flow a little bit more, and be a little bit more comfortable just in enjoying the ride of it all, rather than having to get to that outcome first and foremost. You're enjoying the ride of getting there a little bit more this month, Libra. So take that into consideration as you do your shadow work this month. Make sure you leave a comment on the video so you can go in the draw for that free personal reading as well. And we will move on over to our Scorpios. All right. Scorpio, how is Scorpio going? What does Scorpio need to focus on for their shadow work this month? Scorpio, please. Opened third eye, saw email. Some of these cards are hilarious. Digital interference and inner conflict. All right, so straight away we are getting that, this may be a bit of a rough Mercury retrograde coming up for you here, Scorpio, this month, especially when it comes to tech and digital interferences and things like that. All right, so it's kind of like, as soon as you start feeling like you're moving forward on with your shadow work and on a spiritual kind of a level, that the real world keeps bringing you back down to the ground with all of that, that you're in this sort of inner conflict of like, should I be dealing with these things internally, or should I just be focusing on the external, the reality versus the energy of your world, sort of fighting for ground zero within you this month. All right. So I feel like this is a shadow work message of kind of learning the balance that you can kind of do both, that you can have an open third eye, and you can sort of see those emails and allow those to be processed through the third eye, rather than with that kind of reality mentality hitting you quite so hard. So it's kind of a reminder that every time that things are going on in your material world, that to maybe start dealing with those in a little bit more of a grounded spiritual way, rather than allowing yourself to get swept away into that completely, that you're kind of not forgetting the core of your soul and your spirit, and that the awareness and the growth that you've already gone through as well. I do feel strongly here, Scorpio, that it's that inner conflict of I've grown and I've matured, but then all these people just keep trying to try me, kind of thing. So, but you keep needing to sort of remind yourself that, hang on, that's not how I deal with things anymore. I deal with things in a more grounded way, a more mature way now. But clarifying this energy for you, Scorpio. Scorpio, shadow work messages for our Scorpios. Okay, Scorpio. Yeah, definitely. Once again, we're getting that reference to the emails. All right. So I do feel that this may be a lot to do with work stuff for you guys this month. Where the material world really is just trying to pull all your attention in this month, rather than the stuff going on within yourself. We do see the letter coming through first, so you can even see, that we all know that the email symbol and the letter symbol very, very sort of similar there. So this is all about communication and expression that forces you to kind of choose. We have the crossroads here as well. So there's things, once again, it's like as soon as I opened that third eye, I saw that email. So it does feel as though this is strongly talking about, digital interference once again coming through here, but more so to do with communication. So miscommunications and the way that someone's expressing themselves kind of forces you to feel as though you need to make a choice between the reality and the real world, as opposed to the energy and where your intuition is trying to sort of pull you along towards there. And you do seem to focus a bit more on the work stuff. We have the mountain there as well. That we do sort of see here with the mountain, the need to put in some work because there's some delays, some obstacles in your path here, and you're needing to choose to, really knuckle down and be perseverant and determined to deal with things in your material world so that you can, then allow yourself space in the more spiritual energy side of the world as well. But I do feel that with the mountain here, yes, there may be some delays with the way that communications are happening for you this month. That once again, it's very much coming through less shadow work energy, but more to do with this Mercury retrograde coming up for you. So that starts on the 9th. So only a couple of days away before that starts. Some of you may be experiencing issues already, but for you guys, this may be very much to do with delayed communications, things that need to be said that aren't being said immediately, or things like that. So, or needing to persevere and be determined to make sure that we're not having miscommunications, and that we are coming from that version of ourselves that is a little bit more grounded and in touch with our own energy and soul and spirit, rather than choosing purely material world. So I kind of feel as though for you guys, this is a bit of a break month with the shadow work stuff, but it's kind of understanding that this is the month where we're putting previous shadow work into, our realm, and we're kind of being tested a little bit by some communication issues and the, information issues coming through there as well. So I dare say a lot of you are going to have issues with, internet, actual emails coming through there, and just general communication, text messaging, things like that. You may just experience things like, oh, I thought I sent that text hours ago, but it didn't send properly, so now I've got to send it again, and so my, the communication wasn't when it was supposed to be. I didn't write back in time, kind of thing. So delays kind of coming through very strongly here. Some sort of obstacles and things that you need to overcome, creating issues for you this month with communication specifically, leading you to kind of feel a little bit confused about what path things are taking for you at the moment, kind of torn between the two worlds, the material world and the energy world here, as well. So, but I once again, I dare say this is definitely a bit more of a focus on reality for you this month, but it's all about balancing what you've already learnt within your own self, and the new, integrating the new version of yourself, and not sort of falling back into old patterns. So, if this were to happen, 5 years ago, and the way that you would have reacted to a miscommunication 5 years ago, and now that you've done a bit more work within your own self, that you're overcoming some of those obstacles, and no longer, coming from that same place. You're now able to integrate that soul work into the newer versions of yourself that is now dealing with this issue. Okay, so a bit of a random one for you there, Scorpio, but you may want to check your other placements, especially your moon sign, with the full moon reading there. Make sure you do leave a comment so that you can go in the draw for that free personal reading. And we will move on over to our Sagittarius. All right. Okay, Sagittarius. What does Sagittarius need to focus on for their shadow work this month? Shadow work message for Sagittarius. Falling for red flags, Sagittarius. Attraction, ignored warnings and drama. It's not so much that you're falling for red flags, it's that you're finding yourself somewhat attracted to them, or you're starting to notice the red flags that actually do attract you a little bit here. It's kind of that energy of like, don't press the red button, and the first thing you want to do is press the red button. It's kind of like you're ignoring the warnings because there's a part of you that kind of thrives on the drama. So it's kind of like you see this thing, like I'm just trying to think of an example for you there, Sagittarius, but it's like, well, I suppose we'll use the example of the falling for red flags, and you can see the hearts in his eyes, and it's like, oh, this person is they're a toxic person. I can tell that this person is, they're only going to just, maybe they're going to ghost me. And so but there's something about that energy of that person that you're like, oh, I need to chase them, because it's like a runner chaser dynamic is coming through there a little bit, that, oh, you feel finding yourself, you like the thrill of the chase. So you keep finding runners to chase. Whereas, deep down you're kind of like, oh, well, I actually want someone that's going to stick around, not run. But it's the thrill of the chase kind of thing. So paying attention to those things within your own self, that where you're actually kind of low-key attracted to the thing that you don't want. All right, you're telling yourself on one hand, I don't want that thing, but then you're really attracted to it anyway. Even if it was just cake, I don't want cake. I don't want to eat cake, but look at that cake. It looks so good. I've got to eat it. So just random things like that coming through here, Sagittarius. But we'll have a look with the lenormand as well. Sagittarius, shadow work messages for our Sagittarius, please. Okay, so it's patterns and cycles. We have the ring coming through here first. So yeah, it's the patterns, because it's like the things that you're comfortable with. You've grown this relationship with yourself and with the drama. Okay, where the drama is actually comfortable, because at least you know what to expect. If you chase that runner, you know that you have to chase. Whereas if you chase someone that doesn't run, you don't know what to do. That's a new pattern, a new cycle. So you find yourself sometimes steering clear of those because of the unknown factor. It's much more easy to stick with the devil kind of thing here. We do also have the astral and the clouds coming through for you here. So the astral is all about, the dreamlike state of self, the energy version of ourselves, the spiritual version of ourselves that is connected to the energy whereas the clouds is very mind processing energy. It's your thoughts and the way that we're thinking about things. So once again, with the clouds there, that's like an overthinking about things, and you're overthinking about, I feel like it's the unknown, because it's that on one hand and then on the other hand, that on one hand I want the astral, but then on the other hand the clouds are telling me, go for what you already know, because that's less anxiety inducing. But there is this huge part of you that is asking for you to break that cycle and to really look at that on a much deeper level, and start trusting your intuition and your dreams a little bit more, rather than what your brain is telling you. The brain is trying to tell you, overthink it, push it away when things get too real, run after that chase, that runner, instead of finding someone who's not toxic in the first place. You're overthinking things. You're like, And that's kind of clouding your judgment because you're not trusting the astral version of yourself quite as much as you should be here. So needing to really do some deep thinking about the astral side of yourself this month, and what it is that you're actually wanting, because this is your, the things that come to you in dreams, and the energy of things, that other versions of yourself that don't exist in reality, whereas your thoughts keep trying to pull you back into reality. So when using those thoughts against themselves, kind of thing, using those thoughts to overthink the astral realm of what your dreams actually are, rather than allowing those thoughts to just spiral out of control and stick into that previous pattern. You're trying to change the pattern of your thoughts this month, and change the ignored warnings and drama that you are finding yourself drawn to. Even when you tell yourself that's not what you want, you still find yourself drawn to it anyway. So yeah, just throwing it on its head a little bit and trying to think about the energy of things rather than the reality of things this month. If that kind of makes sense for you there. You're more than welcome to check your other placements, especially your moon sign. With the full moon there, Sagittarius. Make sure you leave a comment as well so we can put you in the draw for that free personal reading. And then we will move on over to our Capricorns. Okay, Capricorn, shadow work messages for our Capricorns. What does Capricorn need to focus on for shadow work this month? Toxic but familiar. Oh, this is going to call me out, Capricorn, because I am a Capricorn, and with an Aries moon, and the oh no, that was Taurus, not Aries. Okay, cool. I'll take it. I was going to say Taurus had the same. It was Taurus that had the same one. I was going to say Aries, but I actually started with Taurus today, so it was Taurus. Toxic but familiar. Patterns, attachments, comfort in the pain. Getting too comfortable in the devil that you already know, Capricorn. That I know that this is toxic, but it's comfortable. I know how to deal with this because that's what I've always dealt with. I know how to deal with the negative emotions because that's comfortable. That's the regular for me. So this month is really asking you to look at those patterns and attachments where you are sort of uncomfortable with potential happiness in those situations. That you've become so used to and adapted to that not working out for you that it's now become comfortable, and it's very uncomfortable for you to think that, hang on, that might actually work out well. That might actually work out differently this time. There's something there about moving into the, getting out of the comfort zone here, and moving into the things that feel uncomfortable, because the things that feel uncomfortable for you with this issue are positive things and happy things. And the happiness kind of scares you, Capricorn, which, on one hand, we all say, oh no, happiness doesn't scare me, but it kind of does. I feel like for a lot of you, this is one specific situation in your life. It's kind of like that job that you absolutely hate, but, at least I know how to do this job, and it saves me all the effort of going and finding a job that I actually like. It's a toxic environment. I don't like working here, but, I'm just going to put up with it because I'm used to it. I know what I'm doing, rather than having to restart and relearn. All right, so that's probably the best example I can give you here, Capricorn, because this is quite specific for a lot of you. So it may have to do with a specific person in your life. It may have to do with, a feeling just within yourself, pain that has grown to be a part of you rather than something that you fight against. But we'll clarify this for you, Capricorn. Shadow work message for Capricorn, please. What does Capricorn need to see for their shadow work this month? Break the chains that bind you, Capricorn. We have the chains coming through first. So, yes, it's a comfort zone. Yes, it's a toxic but familiar comfort zone that you've grown attached to. It's a pattern that you've grown attached to. But it's not just a pattern anymore. It's a chain that's weighing you down, holding you back. It's chaining you to it now. You need to break those chains and get out of that comfort zone a little bit this month and find the newer opportunities here. We have the key coming through, Capricorn, which leads directly to success. This is new doors, opening yourself up to alternate options. That it doesn't have to be this thing that's chaining me down, holding me back. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be negative all the time. It doesn't have to be, these bonds that have just grown comfortable. It's kind of giving that, what's that is it Munchausen syndrome, where, you just get so comfortable being kidnapped that all of a sudden you're friends with the kidnapper and you want to stay kidnapped instead of, escaping. It's kind of like that, Capricorn. But there is new opportunities around you here. But I feel like the key really actually, it's kind of like the key usually is what unlocks chains, right? It breaks that lock and allows you freedom to explore things that are not familiar, the unknown. It opens you up to explore the unknown. And those new opportunities could actually lead you to the success you truly desire here, Capricorn. We do have the bear coming through as well, which I quite often put that with the Capricorn energy anyway, but it's kind of talking about, standing strong and being strong and powerful and confident in breaking these chains and getting out of your comfort zone and forcing yourself to open yourself up to positive energy. That you're creating these boundaries of yourself that, yes, you have been protecting yourself, but it's gotten to the point where you're defensive against, I don't want to get out of these chains because, I'm defending these chains, but even though, I know they're not good for me. So you're needing to be very strong and confident and put those boundaries up with yourself and, exert your own power over yourself, Capricorn. It's a discipline to make this change and to open yourself up to the positive, the new energy that is trying to come in for you here, the unfamiliar, all right, the unknown and the unfamiliar. Even though it's uncomfortable at first, how does it become familiar, Capricorn? You move into it and you get to know it. All right, so we're definitely seeing you quite strong this month. You're gonna do this, Capricorn. No drama on your end, okay? With that bear energy there, it's like just roar at yourself a few times, and you can do this, Capricorn. You've got this, Capricorn, and you will. All right, it's time to enjoy some happiness and enjoy, settling into life that could be unknown, but it could be amazing. All right. So that's what we have for you, Capricorn. I'm not going to lie, I probably went a bit easier on you than some of the other signs this month, the shadow work messages. All right. So we like that. But make sure you leave a comment on the video so you can go in the draw for that free personal reading. And we will move on over to Aquarius. All right. Okay, Aquarius. What does Aquarius need to focus on for their shadow work this month? Shadow work messages for Aquarius. Oh, Aquarius. Hang on. I'll shuffle again because feels like there's more than one trying to jump out here for you. But I'm only going to take one. Ghosted again. Seen, never replied. Rejection, silence, confusion. So this is not necessarily about being ghosted again. Okay, like for some of you, this may actually be, yes, I was ghosted again. Oh, I've been left on red. I feel rejected. I feel like this is a lot more than what that implies. This is confusion, silence, feeling rejection from, kind of like feels like it's feeling rejected from the universe in some kind of a way, Aquarius, that you're left in this state of confusion of what do I even do now? Feeling like everything I try to do gets rejected and it's not good enough, and something happens and it doesn't work out. I'm now left here in this limbo where this silence where I don't know where to go from here. I don't know what to do. I feel like, you know, and I'm not going to lie, I do have an Aquarius in my life that something along these lines has recently happened. And I even picked up the phrase when I was talking to their partner earlier that it's the universe is enforcing some silence, enforcing this person to stop and meet the silence of themselves in order to clear that confusion and find their purpose. And you know, but you know, they're a little bit stuck in the feeling rejected from options and rejected from things that they thought they were pursuing. All right, so I think that might help explain it to you in some kind of way. But we'll have a look with the Lenormand here. Aquarius, shadow work messages for Aquarius, please. So it's kind of like you're in this limbo at the moment, Aquarius. You will move forward. On the bottom of the deck, we've got the ship here, so it's all part of the journey. Like, it may not seem like it, but it's kind of like, yeah, you're being enforced this month. It's like this energy where this month your shadow work is kind of enforcing you to just sit in the silence of yourself and just trust, I suppose, that things will work out for you. You know, because we have the candle coming through first. Very interesting, because it's like you've lit this candle within yourself that, you know, I've got this passion, I've got this desire to find clarity and find my purpose. But now I'm feeling rejected from that. I feel as though, you know, did I burn the candle at both ends? Did I leave that burning in the window and burn the curtains down? You know, it's kind of like this. You feeling there's part of you feeling like you got a little bit too close and got burnt at some point here. But that candle is, you know, it's kind of like a candle. Even if that goes out, you can relight that anytime, Aquarius. That it's this particular candle, it never goes out. All right, and it's kind of like, as long as you keep stoking the flames of desire and passion within yourself, even if you don't know what that desire and passion is for. Right now, I feel like that desire and passion needs to be about finding clarity and finding, you know, clearing the confusion that you have, and knowing that you've got this inner fire within you that's going to keep on burning. It's going to keep on burning. You just don't know what it's going to light the way to yet. You know, it's like you're holding that candle in your hand, but you haven't yet lifted it up to see what's in the darkness around you as of yet. We have the cross coming through. There's a lot of burdens and responsibilities on your shoulders, and that's why that's actually making it harder for you to see through the darkness, because you're putting too much on your shoulders right now, and that's creating a lot of the confusion. Is like you're trying to rush yourself, whereas you actually need to stop and slow down and sit in silence with yourself in order to find this clarity. You know, and things will go quicker than you realize. But if you're continually trying to do rather than stop and accept and acknowledge and learn, you're rushing into things a little bit too much here, full tilt, without actually just trusting that things are actually happening for a reason, and that you know, this spiritual side of yourself will guide you to where you need to be. Your soul will guide you. This inner passion, trust in that. Okay, trust in that you have this flame within you, that it's never going out. And as long as you trust in that, you know that you've got this. Having a bit more faith in yourself, having a bit more faith that, you know, yes, it may feel as though you're being rejected by the universe, but this is actually all part of the plan. As much as it may not seem like that, it is part of the plan. You're not being ghosted again, you're being tested. All right, because it's kind of asking you, do you really want it? Do you really want to find yourself and find your purpose? If you really truly want to clear that confusion, you'll stop just trying to jump into everything, Aquarius, and you'll slow down and you'll stop and sit in this silence and learn what abundance means to you. We have the fish. Learn what abundance means to you, because it's not money. A lot of the time that is the money card, but a lot of the time money is a means to an end. It's not about the money. Not many people in this world want to be rich just for the sake of being rich. No, we want to be rich so that we can spend the money, that we can travel, that we can buy a house, that we can, do this with the money, invest in this, and, all these sorts of things. Buying a house, that is a whole different goal to having $1 million. Yes, you might need the $1 million in order to buy the house, but the goal is actually the house, not the money. And I feel like that's what's going to help clarify for you here is really finding what abundance means to you. What are the areas of your life that make you feel fulfilled? What makes you feel fulfilled and whole in this world? Settling into yourself and understanding a little bit more about what makes you feel like you would have it all. If you had X, Y, and Z in your life, then you would have it all, kind of thing. And it's probably not just $1 million. It's the things that takes you to, the house. You want the house. You want to travel. You want to be able to do X, Y, Z. Yeah. So having a bit of a think about that sort of stuff this month, Aquarius. That's what's coming through for your shadow work. Make sure you leave a comment on the video so you can go in the draw for that free personal reading. And we will move on over to our Pisces. Okay, Pisces. What does Pisces need to focus on this month for their shadow work? What does Pisces need to focus on for shadow work this month? Being too much again. Surprise, that's you, Pisces, and not me. Rejection, over-expression, and shame. All right, so this is definitely tying into the full moon energy for you, Pisces, where it's, discovery of your relationship of worthiness. And, what aspects of myself do I feel like are too much for other people to handle? All right, because and I kind of feel here too, for a lot of you, it's too much of not enough. And you're kind of like feeling that, oh, I don't give enough. And people feel that that's, too much of not enough. I don't know why that phrasing's coming through, but that's what I'm getting for you here, Pisces. But there's a bit of shame there as well. That it's about personal expression, and it's about, the way that you show yourself, show love to others, communicate with others. There's a little bit of shame that you're not doing it right. And it's tied in with these feelings of unworthiness. And that's what needs to be focused on this month for you. But we'll have a look with the lenormand as well. Pisces, shadow work messages for our Pisces. Do you know what, Pisces? I think overall, this is not really that hectic. All right, this is not really that deep introspective stuff. I feel like this is something that you don't actually actively need to work towards when it comes to shadow work stuff. That this is something that it's just kind of wanting you to, it's kind of giving me this energy of like, as soon as you hear me say that, that click, like everything sort of clicks into place all by itself within you, and the shadow work is sort of done on a very subconscious level for you this month. Especially too, the first card we have is the Sun. Okay, so that's an epiphany. That's something coming to light about this issue around your your being too much of not enough, or your shame around worthiness and things like that, your relationship with worthiness. There's a personal epiphany, something coming to light straight away for you there, about, well, hang on, because now I'm hearing that song. If it makes you happy, then why the hell are you so sad? I feel like that's part of your personal epiphany this month, Pisces, for a lot of you, that, well, if it makes me happy, then why do I care, kind of thing. And this sort of just twists everything on its head for you. And we see the heart coming through here as well. So we're seeing happiness, we're seeing love on the way. All right. So we see that coming in quick for you, Pisces. We have the rider. So like I said, I feel like this is just going to happen naturally for you this month with your shadow work. You guys are getting it easy, not going to lie. Remembering unconditional love is important to help support yourself this month. Happiness, moving towards happiness and love energy, definitely important for you this month, but it's kind of feeling very, very flow, very, very moving forward with or without you kind of thing, that your subconscious is kind of taking care of it for you this month. Like I said, I just feel like you just needed to hear that, and then that sort of flips that switch in your brain that, the trajectory moves on by itself from there on out. If you do want something a little bit more in depth, check out your moon placement. Being the full moon, that may have a little bit more information for you, especially when, quite a lot of the other signs did get quite a lot of information for the shadow work as compared to you, Pisces. Some of them were a little bit confronting as well, but make sure you do leave a comment as well. Let me know how that resonated for you, Pisces, and if you feel as though that is on the right track, or if you do feel the need to, check another placement as well. And every comment will go in the draw for that free personal reading, of course. So we will move on over to our last but not least today. We have our Aries, all right? Okay, Aries, full moon shadow work message for our Aries. What does Aries need to focus on for shadow work this month? What is Aries' focus for their shadow work this month? Oh, I just shuffled like crazy, and I got the exact same card that we had for Pisces. So some of you may be on the cusp of Pisces, or have a moon in Pisces or something along those lines. So if that is the case, you may want to check the Pisces reading as well. It was really short, so it's not going to take you much time. I do feel straight away that this is a little bit different than what we saw for Pisces. We do have being too much again. All right. Rejection, overexpression, and shame. So for you here, Aries, I do feel as though it's not too much in the sense of overexpression. Pisces also had kind of being too much of not enough was coming through, tied up very closely with feelings of worthlessness, that shame of not being enough. I feel like that's kind of what's going on for you here, Aries. It's got to do with that shame of feeling like I'm not enough, feeling like I'm too much of this, I'm too much of that, but they're not like overt, pardon me, they're not like overt traits. They're like, not in the way that the card appears to talk about, right? Because we see the skeleton here in his brightly colored jacket and shirt with his, little party poppers and all these people in the background all dull and grey and whatnot. Not in that extroverted manner, okay? Because that's what this card would sort of lead you to believe, is that this is overexpression in a, I talk too much, or I, although I'm an Aries moon, and that's probably the case for me personally, is talking too much and, overcomplicating things. But for you, particularly Aries, it feels more along the lines of, I'm picking up examples like I'm being too much anxious, or I'm being too much confused, or I'm being too much negative. I don't, and a bit of shame over a certain thing that you are. It's like you're pinpointing certain aspects of yourself that you're like, I'm too much like this, and I'm too much like awkward. I'm too nervous. I'm too scared. I'm too, you know, all those sorts of little negative traits that you're finding within yourself to, you know, feel shame about here and feel like you're too much of that, rather than I should be happy, I should be expressive, I should be this, I should be that. It is tied in very muchly with this full moon energy here, Aries, of, you know, finding that space to settle into yourself and just sort of chill out in your own self, and just accept yourself, and rediscover a new way of having a relationship with your self-worth. All right, so worthiness does seem to be a very strong topic throughout this full moon, and people's feelings of unworthiness, which is what is sort of flagging up here for you, Aries. But we'll delve a little bit deeper with the Lenormand and see what wants to come through. Aries, shadow work messages for our Aries. What does Aries need to see in regards to their shadow work? Firstly, we have the bear, Aries. I quite commonly associate that with Aries energy as well. Straight away, though, it is telling me you're being a little bit hard on yourself, because the bear is very strong, powerful energy, very defensive at times, very overprotective. All right, so you're kind of, you know, that's what's maybe being too much, is that you're overprotective of yourself, and overprotective of these feelings of unworthiness. It's kind of like you're holding on to them so tightly that this is why it's coming up as your shadow work, because it is time to really look at, you know, setting up some boundaries with yourself, you know, having a little bit of strength over your own self, saying, you know, I choose to not allow this to control me anymore. And I you know, I need to put this boundary up, that when I feel myself being too, you know, on my too hard on myself, that I need to, you know, roar at myself a little bit, and stand up to my own self, and stand up to myself when I've got these little voices in my head saying, you know, you're too anxious, you're too nervous, you're too awkward, you're too this, you're too that, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. You're needing to sort of come through and be that bear and roar at yourself and say, you are good enough, Aries. You are good enough, you know, and kind of be very strong and demanding on your own self this month, and just very nurturing in a strong taking control of yourself kind of a way. We do see the ruins coming through here, Aries. So it's kind of like ancient history. Ancient history is having a very strong overexpression on this sense of worth. Okay. It's kind of wanting me to say that the ruins are the things that no longer exist in your life, the things that no longer have control over you, yet you're kind of allowing them to have that control over you. So you are needing to set up boundaries between yourself and the past as well here, Aries. That it's kind of like, well, that's ancient history. Yeah, it sucks that civilization turned to dust and doesn't exist, but I need to accept that is the past. That is ancient history at this point. It does feel like ancient history, because I'm sort of seeing ruins of, like, you know, you see the ruins of like ancient Egyptian sites and things like that, and they've completely fallen, abandoned, you know, hundreds of thousands of years ago. Not that long, obviously, but uh, I'm getting my exaggeration of time from my son. Lately, everything's been, oh, Mum, you took 50 years. So we're over exaggerating time this month on the channel. But that's why it feels like ancient history, though, because these are things that happened a long time ago in your life, and you're allowing them to still shape the way that you are now, Aries. So you are needing to be a little bit more forceful and controlling of yourself when those ruins are trying to overcome you in the present, because it's ancient history. It's not your present. So stop allowing it to be your present energy that you're believing, about your self-worth stuff. All right. Especially here, we have the mirror coming through. Definitely looking at some triggers for you this month, Aries, unfortunately. But all the triggers are things deep within yourself, deep within the, and that's maybe why we're seeing that ruins as well, because we're kind of really looking ourselves in the mirror and looking at how those ruins, how that stuff that's happened, in the ancient history of our lives really has actually changed the person that we could be. We need to really look ourselves hard in the mirror this month and sort of ask ourselves, what is the things that I have allowed to be carried into who I am, that have told me that I'm worthless, that have told me that I can't look myself in the mirror because I'm worthless. I'm not worth the time, the effort. What are those things? And how do I look that in the mirror and roar at myself and kind of flash that back towards the past? How do I move that back? It's some very deep introspection for you this month, Aries. And there are going to be, I'm not going to lie, I do feel like there are going to be a few things that do trigger you this month, but it's kind of like you're being kind of tested to see if you can stand up to yourself when you catch yourself doing those things. So these patterns and cycles that have been created from, the ancient history stuff, when we catch ourselves doing that, can we look ourselves in the mirror and say, I don't want to be like that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't like that behavior in myself. I don't need to be like that anymore. I'm going to stand up to myself and say, do you know what? Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, whatever. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm just being given the example here of, quite a common example that can be used is, in the ruins of our life, the ancient history of our life is that somewhere along the line, we were taught that love has to be painful, love has to hurt. And so we protect our hearts because we don't want to be hurt. So we are afraid of love because we don't want to be hurt, because love is hurt. But you're standing up to yourself this month, you're looking yourself in the mirror and saying, but what if love didn't have to be hurt? What if I was worth more than hurt? What if I was worth more than love being pain? And it's really going to flip things on its head for you this month. But you're really having to pay a little bit of attention this month, Aries, to really looking at yourself long and hard in the mirror and allowing those things that, as you see yourself being triggered, that you're calling yourself out and you're standing up to yourself and you're kind of, roaring at yourself. You're not worthless. You are worthy. You can at least try kind of energy. You're not the person that you were when you learnt love is hurt. That's not who you are anymore, Aries. You can now try to be a new type of person. You can try, even if you don't know what love is, you can learn and grow and heal. Yeah. So I'm not going to lie, this might be a bit of a rough month for you when it comes to the shadow work stuff and the introspection and looking within. It may be a little bit rough there, but just remember too, though, Aries, that when we have the mirror energy come through, that when we look around and see all the things that we admire about others and we see something in somebody else, oh, I wish I could be more like that. That is actually a reflection of a part of ourselves. Yes, we may see that in somebody else, but it exists within us as well. So, especially with the bear there, we're protecting and nurturing those positive things about ourselves that we admire in others, but we're really not being afraid to, face and have the strength to face the negative stuff that, has been sitting within us, for a very, very long time, with that ancient history coming through over and over again for you here, Aries. But you are more than welcome to check your other placements, your moon sign being the full moon there. Leave a comment on the video. Let me know how that resonated for you personally. And you will go in the draw for that free personal reading as well. Make sure you subscribe and I will see you all again soon.